Good. Hey, everybody. I'm Misty Buck, president of Miss Inc. Digital Marketing, and I want to welcome you to a, what do we say, marvelous Marketing Monday. I think we can use that word. That's a good one. It's finally sunny outside. We're drying out a little bit, right, here in South Florida. So I'm really excited today to welcome my guests. Not only are they personal friends, but they are phenomenal at what they do and just all around really great people. So I'm happy to welcome them. I'm going to let you all introduce yourselves, but we have Brett, we have Frank from Snowden Lane Partners.
Yes.
So, Brett, why don't we start with you? Go ahead and introduce yourself. Put you in the hot seat right away.
Sure. Thank you. So my name's Brett Penkar. I've been working at Snowden Lane for a little over a year now. Used to work at Merrill Lynch as a financial analyst. And that's who I am.
You're a little more than that.
But I know.
We'll take that for starters.
Yeah. We can get into it later.
We'll take that for starters. Frank, why don't you go ahead?
Thanks so much. My name is Frank Murillo. I'm a financial planner at Snowden Lane Partners. Like Brett, I spent time at Merrill Lynch, closer to a decade, and went independent with Snowden Lane about three and a half years ago.
That's awesome. And you guys have been like the dynamic duo for how long now?
Oh, man. Frank and I have known each other for over 5 years now. I got to work with Frank starting last year. It's been an awesome experience. I'm learning a lot from him, and I think I'm teaching him a little bit about my specialties. But yeah, we've known each other for about 5 years.
You say specialties.
Yeah,
things that we can know or no.
Yeah. I like.
What kind of specialties are we talking about?
I'm a budget person, so.
You are a budget person.
Yeah.
Spreadsheet and budget person.
Yeah.
So his skill set has been invaluable to the team, which was really helpful. We had an opening up on the team and we hired him last year, and I've been trying to coach him and help him as best as possible as he continues to build his personal book of business and his clientele.
Yeah. So we're going to talk about, this is a marketing show. So we are going to talk about how you guys are building your business. It's a little bit different when you're a financial professional, right? Than maybe other markets. But I think it is valuable for people who are entrepreneurs or solopreneurs or realtors, whatever you might want to, classify that, to learn how other people build their business. But before we get into that, I want to learn a little bit more about what you guys really do, what services that you offer, what's your why, all that kind of stuff. So let's go ahead and talk about those services that you guys offer. Like, what's your bread and butter?
So we are financial advisors. Frank specializes as a financial planner. I'll let him talk about that. But as a financial advisor, it's a little like being a coach. I've always been into sports my entire life. Yeah. And I think my why derives from sports. I really enjoy coaching. So when you coach, you kind of help individuals out. So right. I always start with a budget, and having a budget is like having a workout plan. I like that. Yeah. So if you could have the best workout plan in the entire world, right?
Right.
But it's all about sticking to it. It's consistency. So that's where I start. And I'm an Excel person. That's just what I do. I love Excel spreadsheets. And that's kind of where I start at. And then we get into Frank, and Frank's more of the planner.
Yeah.
So
my team will tell you that I love spreadsheets too. I make it a little crazy. If you're watching this, sorry, ladies. We have a spreadsheet and a place for everything. And they're like, oh, here goes another one with Misty. But I have to, It just doesn't matter. I think I like to see those things. So I'm on the same page as you. So, all right. So let's tell us a little bit about your specialty, Frank. Like, what's your bread and butter?
Yeah. So I focus more on helping folks that want to plan for retirement and making sure that they make that transition as easy and as seamless as possible. A big part of the reason I got into that and into this field in general was just to help people really just kind of achieve what they want with the savings that they have, right? I come from a very blue collar household, and you'd be surprised how little help there is and how little people actually know out there. And they can do a whole lot better had they just had a little push, had a little bit of help out there. And it's not always accessible to everyone, right? So that's kind of my job, is to help make it more accessible to everyday people.
I love what you guys are doing together, because right now, I mean, we're always in an evolving market, right? Right now, there's a lot of talk of that R word, right?
Yeah.
That could be impending. People are worried about inflation. They're worried about gas prices. They're worried about how do I make ends meet. So how do you help those individuals with setting the budget and then creating a retirement plan? Because I've got to imagine that that's got to give people a lot of hope, especially when things are the way they are right now.
So I think starting out with a budget is really important, especially in times of inflation.
Right.
I don't know about you guys, but I've noticed gas prices going up
a little bit. I did. It was a little bit higher last time.
Yeah, it hit pretty hard yesterday when I filled up. It was twice as much that I'm used to. But having a really strong budget from the beginning and sticking to it, especially in these times, is really important. Markets go up and markets go down.
Right.
And eventually, you know, if you look at the long-term trend of the markets, they're eventually going to go back up again. So, you know, I think the real important part is one, sticking to your budget and continuing, you know, investing over time. Dollar cost averaging over time is a very important investing technique that we like to implement with our clients.
Oh, that's interesting.
Mm-hmm. Does that answer everything?
Yeah, no, I think the biggest thing about retirement and helping people is really just developing healthy habits. Mm-hmm. So kind of using his early example about going to the gym and being regimented about certain behaviors you take, it's the same approach. So it's constantly saving, constantly investing. Mm-hmm. It's properly framing the fact that retirement for a lot of folks is usually 5, 10, 15 years away from where we stand right now. So just know that time is on your side and using that to your advantage, right? So what do the long-term historical perspectives of the market tell us, and applying that to your advantage? So
yeah, and I have to imagine the sooner you start with those plans, the more of an advantage you have. So like even somebody who's maybe like in their 20s and they're not really thinking about it, like that. I'm not even going to say how long ago that was for me, but maybe it would have been a good idea to think about those things back then instead of just now. But do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I guess time is of the essence, but also what I'm hearing you say is that it's not too late.
It's not. And you know, a lot of people kind of kick themselves about not starting
sooner
in their 20s, but
yeah,
you can't just beat yourself up over it. You got to move forward and start now, right?
Right.
And start as soon as possible. So it's developing those healthy habits. I don't think it's ever too late to do that. And that's where Brett brings his focus and I bring my focus and apply it to help people see that to fruition.
And so you did talk about coaching, right? And you guys talked about, you know, it does take discipline and you guys can put together the plan. Are there any tips that you can share or you do share with your clients about how to stay disciplined? Like, how do you keep those healthy money habits? You take the time to go to somebody like you guys put together this beautiful plan. And then, you know, it's raining and you're bored and you get on Amazon and you blow your monthly budget, right? So like,
I get it. And it's just like going to the gym, right? Like we all go to the gym and then maybe we have someone's birthday, we miss a day, maybe we miss a week.
Right.
But our job as financial advisors is to, you know, see it, address it, talk to them saying, hey, listen, we fell off this month or we fell off this quarter. Mm-hmm. Let's get back on track. This is where we're at now. And let's see how we get back on track. Mm-hmm. The biggest part is not, you know, it's consistency. It's okay to fall off the wagon, you know, right. Especially, you know, you go to the gym, miss a day. It's not the end of the world.
Right.
You can get back on track. And that's kind of how we address it with our clients. You know, we're not here to scold you. We're here to, you know, we're your coaches. We're here to, you know, boost you up and make you the best investor you could be.
I love that. I love that so much. So, I mean, I think that's really like a clear message that you guys are sending is that it's never too late. And even if you, you know, fall back a little bit, you can get back on track. And I think
it's okay to have a donut every once in a while.
Yeah.
I think
define every once in a while.
Yeah.
No, but seriously, it's just the constant presence that you have in your clients' lives, right? Just constant communication, staying in front of them, and kind of just talking them through not only the good markets, but also the bad markets. I think that's also important because I'm a big believer if you can tell somebody good news, you should be able to tell them not so good news, right?
Right.
So these past 6 months or so have been very volatile in the markets. And then, you know, where you add value, I think, is where just constant communication with the clients. So.
Right. And how do you guys do that? Because I'm a firm believer in kind of transitioning into talking about marketing and branding and all that. I'm a big believer that the way you communicate is 110% a part of your brand, right? Like that's a part of your marketing, your customer service, the way that you stay in touch with your clients, the way that you build those relationships, right? Because that just goes off into all these other different areas. Right. So how do you all manage to do that?
So I think the big part that both Frank and I like to focus on is the relationship building. In this business, you can't control the markets. Those are forces that are way bigger than both Frank and I. But what we can control are how we treat our clients, the customer service we provide. Being transparent is huge, especially in this market. So like last year was my first year as a full-fledged financial advisor. And I started having clients and I told them, look, the market's been up for 10 to 12 years now. It's just a matter of time.
Right.
We're going to have a bad market and it's going to happen.
Right.
The biggest part is just, staying consistent with our plan. So that's kind of the biggest part for building our business is being transparent. The primary market that I focus on they're called Henrys, high earners, not rich yet.
Oh.
So these are people like young business leaders in our community, lawyers, doctors, people that are probably under like 45-ish, that are kind of in that high earners, not rich yet. Mm-hmm. That's kind of my segment that I focus on.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, Henry.
But I know you. So like if somebody's not necessarily a high earner, not rich yet, you would kind of, I'm assuming.
Of course.
Yeah. So
of course.
So if someone's not making six figures, it doesn't mean don't call me.
Of course.
It just means
yeah, exactly. Exactly. We're open to everybody.
Yeah.
We really enjoy, I just love helping people. So
yeah, no, and I know you do.
Yeah.
We'll get into that in a few minutes. So what would be some of your top tips, Franks, for how do you stay in communication with your clients when you guys I have to imagine many different clients and they have lots of questions. So how do you keep those lines of communication open?
So I think the biggest thing, or one of the biggest things, is at the forefront of bringing on a new client is kind of just let it be known what the communication schedule is like. Mm-hmm. Like we're going to have 4 meetings a year or 2 meetings, whatever the cadence that they prefer is.
Okay. So
that they know that you're not just skipping out on them or you're not forgetting about them. They know to expect a call. They know to expect a meeting. So that's very important. Just managing the expectation of when the communication is going to be. Knowing that they can reach out to you should they have a question, if something comes up. We're very good about answering calls and emails within 24 hours. Even if we don't have the answer, it's just so look, we got your message.
Right.
We'll get back to you as soon as possible.
And that's huge.
Yeah.
By the way, a lot of people, regardless of the industry, don't do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, and it's hard. And it's really hard when you get a lot of emails. It is hard to make sure that you reply to all of them within 24 hours, right? Oh, yeah. And you have meetings and you have phone calls and this and that. You're not just at your inbox all day. So I applaud you guys for that, because that really takes an effort. And people say, oh, yeah, that's the way it should be. But that takes work. Mm-hmm. You talk about discipline. That takes discipline.
It does. Yeah. One of the silver linings about the pandemic was just like everything has become so digital and a lot easier, right? So before, most meetings used to be in person.
Right.
We still do that. That's part of who we are. But it's a lot easier to help people from a broader reach perspective, because now you can just hop on a Zoom, hop on a video call, and conduct business as usual. So it's also helped in being more efficient and kind of just being a little more streamlined with what we do.
Right. That makes a lot of sense. That really makes a lot of sense. So how do you all build your business? So this is something that I like to ask everybody that comes on this show. So not necessarily give me your marketing plan, but how do you build your business? And I ask that because number one, I'm always genuinely interested. And number two, because it could help somebody watching this who maybe is just starting out, or they're a seasoned veteran and they just, might hear something new.
So I get into young networking, young professional groups. That's kind of my little niche. So
you don't say.
Yeah.
We met in a young networking group. That's
yes,
why
yeah.
A young professional networking group.
So I have a few of them that I'm involved in. And I think the most important part is building that relationship with a person first. And then once, you have someone's trust, it's easier to talk about, finances or whatever it may be. And then, I like to let those relationships evolve naturally. But once we go into the becoming a financial advisor and starting to help them out, we really go for the referrals. Word of mouth is a big part of where Frank and I come from. Learning the business. So once we start helping them out, we'll start asking for referrals. And if you're working with someone and you're doing good work, most of the time they're going to refer you to their friends and family.
Yeah.
And it helps for the natural growth.
So how do you go about asking for referrals? Because I know a lot of people, myself included, get shy about that, right? So how do you, or is it not something that's ever crossed your mind? It's like, oh, this is an awkward question. Maybe it's not. Maybe to me or some people out there, it might be an awkward question, but for you, maybe it's not. So how do you go about asking for those referrals?
So Misty.
Yeah.
So if you're, if we've been working together for a year, so if hypothetically,
right,
we've been working together for a year now. Do you think there's anybody that within your network that could, use the same services that I provided for you?
It's as easy as that.
Yeah,
it's a simple question.
Yeah, and it's repetition. I think it's also just making sure, because I used to forget early on. Like I would forget to ask for the referral or for the introduction, and not just even that, but letting your existing clients know that you're open for business. Because you'd be surprised how many. Like I've had several clients tell me, I didn't know you were looking for more business. I didn't know that you were.
That's a good point.
Taking on more clients, right? So you may not always get the referral right then and there, but just letting them know that you're open for business will often lead to something else, right?
Right.
And for me, it was just about what's the bigger pain point, because I started off cold calling back in the day.
Yep.
And it's either I learn to ask for referrals or I go back to cold calling. So that's a motivator.
Right? It's an easy answer right there.
I'm assuming cold calling was not your thing. Some people like that. I'm not.
I respect that. I respect that tremendously. It was not for me.
Yeah.
So the quicker I could get off doing that, the better it was for me. So.
Right. And I love something that you were talking about with building relationships, because I think a lot of businesses, and I guess it depends on the business. You guys have a very personal relationship. You need to have that trust, and people need to have that trust in you, right, in order to come get services on something as personal as finances.
Yeah.
Right. So like the first time we met, we were a nervous wreck, right? Like just don't like talking about money. I'll put my business out there. I don't care. But I think that's so important. So how do you go about nurturing those relationships? Because a lot of people, they get concerned about the number of leads that are coming in, and maybe in their niche or their industry that makes sense, right? But for you all, it seems like it's more about, again, those relationships and getting out there and meeting people. You mentioned networking events. So how do you foster those relationships? We've spoken with people before that have like a system, like they have a spreadsheet for managing those networking relationships. So how do you guys do that?
I wish I could lean on Excel on this one.
I know somebody who does.
I use my calendar. I used to work at
which is another spreadsheet.
Anyway.
Yeah, that's true.
So yeah, I'm a big square guy. So that's, so I used to work at an insurance place back a long time ago. And they had this system called the one card system. And both Frank and I come from similar roots. So, but we don't have to work on paper anymore. So we do the calendar. So if I meet with you and say, hey, you're like, okay, right now is not a great time. Let's meet in 6 months. Well, I just put a little calendar reminder, throw it on my calendar for 6 months. And that way I don't need to think about it. It's not like I need to look it up or put it, it automatically pops up in my calendar. And that's one of my list of things to do for the day.
Right.
I have all my calls in the morning from 8 to 10. And then I have them also from like 4 to 6.
Oh, wow.
So like before work, I can probably catch you. And then maybe after work on your drive home.
That's smart.
It's kind of my little system of how I call people.
Yeah, that's smart.
Yeah.
That's smart.
I think for me, it's really just like adding value and being helpful. So, if I'm meeting with you, like who else can I introduce you to that's in my network that can be a benefit to you? It could be an attorney, it could be a health insurance person, an accountant, so on and so forth. So it's not always directly about my own benefit. It's really like, how can you benefit from this? And it's been very successful in helping me build my book of business, is just kind of introducing people to my network and being a value add to them.
Right.
So even if it's not immediately business that we do, it could just be ancillary stuff that comes on later on down the line.
What do you call it? A car wash?
The car wash. Yeah. The Frank car wash.
Yeah.
No, I mean, especially with business owners, you'd be surprised A lot of business owners are very unhappy with some of their current professionals. It could be people doing their group benefits, people doing their accounting, so on and so forth. So if we have somebody we can introduce them to that can help in that area, then it helps everyone. So.
That's awesome. And you mentioned networking and all that. And how do you go out? Do you do networking and stuff like that too? Or how else are you meeting new individuals to build these relationships?
Not at this point. I'm not as good as Brett on that regard. For me, it's really more about asking for the referral within my existing book of business. I also have a blog site where I write articles that the intent is to be educational. So if I get asked a question in a client meeting, like, what does this mean? Or how does this work? I enjoy writing, so I write about it. And then I distribute that in my monthly newsletter I have. So.
Oh, that's awesome. So you have a monthly newsletter as well.
I do.
And that's another way that you stay in touch with clients, because the reason I was asking about relationships is because it's not only about building the relationship, but the way that you do that is by staying in touch with the individual, and everyone kind of has their system and their preferences for that. And so that's interesting that you mentioned that, the newsletter and the blog. I love those two options. I use them myself.
Yeah. They're effective, right? So,
yeah. Because people, I mean, what's funny is sometimes I'll put something in an email newsletter, or I'll post it on LinkedIn or wherever I'm doing it, and people will be like, one, I didn't know you did that. And I'm like, I've been doing this for almost 20 years. How did you not know I did that? Right. And in the marketing realm, at least. Yeah. And then two, they'll be like, oh, I forgot that you did what you do, and I'm actually looking for somebody that does X, Y, Z. Let's have a call, right? Because it's, it'd have to like remind people. I think we get used to, we already told them that I did this. They're going to remember, and that's not the way our brains work, right? Yeah. But when you're able to do it in a way that's helpful, I think it helps you stay top of mind.
And I've had that more often than not. People will say, I had no idea. I had no clue. And no reply to that, and that leads to something else. So to your point, it's just being top of mind, and that's how you drip on them, for lack of a better word, right?
Right. So. The other thing I love is that you said that you listen to your customers' questions, and that's how you curate your content for your blog and your newsletter. That's one of my top tips that I share with people when they're stuck on content. I'm like, just listen to what your customers or prospective clients are asking you, and then you can just pull.
And then write it in your own voice, right? So just make it easy to digest, easy to understand. And you'd be surprised how helpful that is to people out there. So. Right.
All right. So let's talk about, I know we're running out of time here. So let's talk about some of those networking groups and things that you are involved in. And I know the things that you're involved in, at least for you, that you're very passionate about, right? Yes. So let's talk about some of those groups. If somebody's looking to get involved in a young professional group, thank you for not kicking me out yet. I have it cut off, but somehow I'm flying under the radar on that one.
We're both going to get close up there.
Just a little line out of that radar. I'm still a young professional. Okay?
Yeah. Very young. Very young.
So anyways, so talk to us about those groups. If somebody's looking for a young professionals group to get involved in, what are some of the ones that you would recommend?
So I'm really involved in Zoo Miami's Wild Bunch Young Professionals. It's a great group for like-minded individuals to really help out raising money to build better enclosures for the animals. Enclosure is probably not the right term. So sorry about it. Enrichment. No, I don't know. It's upgrades. Yeah. Homes. There we go. Homes for the residents of the zoo. Residents of the zoo. Yeah. So we raise money throughout the year doing fun events, whether it be pub crawls, whether it be painting events. I'm just going off the things that we've done recently.
There was a comedy show. There was a comedy show? Stand-up night recently. That was fun.
Stand-up night. So there's a lot of events that we do. We raise money and we invest it back into the zoo to help build better, homes for these animals. But the cool part about it is you're with a bunch of young, like-minded people that have the same kind of focus you do. And these individuals usually become your friends, family friends. And then it kind of leads to, natural business because they want to know what you do. You want to know what they do. And, it really helps out that circle of, influence that you have with, referring business out. And, if you want to expand your business, it's probably a good idea to get involved in these types of groups Another group that I'm getting into, I have to sign up right now, but my wife is doing it. It's called Best Buddies. So,
oh yes, tell me about that.
Yeah.
You had an awesome experience with that recently. I saw on your social media.
Yes.
So just quickly tell us a little bit about that one.
So we were in a 1 mile, I think it's a 1 mile walk around a park in downtown. I probably should brush up on all the details, but we sat down at a table eating lunch afterwards, and a young man came up to us that was in the Best Buddies program. And he asked us if he could, sit down with us. And like, absolutely, come sit down.
Right.
And I think his name was Alexander. And so we said, oh yeah, come on, sit down, Alex. And he's like, no, it's not Alex. It's Alexander or the king of rock and roll.
Oh,
and I was
that's
like,
somebody I want at my table.
Yeah.
Wait,
and I was
Alexander,
like,
call me. I want to have lunch with you.
Yeah. What a cool guy. It would just, these people are so authentic. It was just such a great experience. I had a great time. But I'm going to sign up so that way I can have a Best Buddy as well. It's just feel good groups that you can get involved in the community and, do better for the community, be something bigger than just your career. Mm-hmm. And I think that just naturally leads to more business.
I think you're right. And I love what you're saying so much, because you're not going into these groups because, I'm going to do this because I'm going to make money out of it. No, you're going in because it's something that you're passionate about. Yeah. You like the people, you like being there. I mean, look at the smile on this guy's face. But I think that's what makes the difference in building those relationships and eventually earning the business. Right. Yeah. So we built a great friendship out of Wild Bunch. Right. So here we are today. Yeah. So
I like how it's or the king of rock and roll.
Yeah.
No in between. Alexander or the king of rock and roll.
That's it. There's no between.
Sounds like this should be the name of a book or a movie or something, right?
I'm pretty sure he's like an ambassador for the program. So I'll see if I can get you in touch.
That's super cool.
Yeah.
I know. I would love to learn more about that. I just love people and being around good people. I think especially in today's day and age, there's a lot of like really hard stuff happening, but there's also really awesome, uplifting,
feel good stories.
Yeah, and things to do where you can really, make an impact, and it doesn't have to feel so hard.
It doesn't always have to be about your career. It's about building great things.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So we just have a couple minutes left here. That went by really fast. Mm-hmm. So do you guys have any other tips or any things that you want to share about maybe other groups, or we should always talk about actually how people can get in touch with you?
So I think your website might be a good idea.
Yeah, if you guys like, you can reach out or check out franktheplanner.com, frankthe.planner.com. You could always just look at our contact information, emails there, phone number as well. That's probably the best way to reach out to us.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Okay. Yeah. Perfect. All right. And any last tips for other people if they are...
I think there's no better time than today to get started. Everyone's worrying about, the markets and, when will it go back up? I think there's no better time than today.
Yeah.
If you have a 30-year, 20-year time horizon, there's no better time than today.
We have to imagine, even if you could put $1 away, it's still something.
Invest early and often. Yeah.
Invest early and often. Well, I will take your word for it.
Yeah. It works.
It works. I would hope so. Oh my God. You guys are a trip. All right. Well, we just, like I said, we're just wrapping up here. Any shout outs, anything that you want to say last minute as we wrap up here before we close it out?
Shout out to Alexander. You made my day. I'm signing up for Best Buddies. Thank you.
Shout out to the king of rock and roll.
Yeah.
Shout out to the king of rock and roll is getting a lot of love on today's show. Brittany, don't kill us for fumbling what Zoo Miami Wild Bunch is about. You get that word exactly right.
Yeah, she'll pin us down for that.
Yeah, she will. She totally will. We love you.
Yeah.
If you are interested in getting involved in one of these groups, I think Brett will be able to get information about either of them, or I can help you with information about Zoo Miami's Wild Bunch group, which is really a phenomenal group. It's a lot of fun. You get to do stuff behind the scenes and do enrichment builds and learn a lot, and just we have a lot of fun while we're doing it. So
be around the animals behind the scennes is probably one of the coolest
parts. It's literally the coolest thing. If you love animals, you will love this group. It's impossible not to. So and really good people. So anyways, with that, I'm going to wrap up today's show. We will be back next week with another guest for Marketing Monday. If you'd like to be a guest on the show, you have a topic suggestion or just a question, you know how to find me. You can drop them in the comments here or reach reach out to me at Miss Inc. LLC, and I will be happy to do that. Guys, thanks for being on the show.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
All
We
right.
hope to have you back soon. And I hope everyone out there has a great week. Make it a good one.